This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, right. So in the last class we have seen advanced manipulations on arrays. So with that, arrays chapter is completed. Now today I want to start one important chapter, that is object oriented programming in JavaScript. What is that? Object oriented programming, OOP, object oriented programming in JavaScript. So keep the heading object oriented programming in JavaScript. Object oriented programming in JavaScript. So yes, JavaScript is object oriented programming language. Some people may say or think that JavaScript is object based language, but it is wrong. JavaScript is what? Object oriented programming language, but not object based language. Whenever a programming language depends on objects, we have to call it as object oriented programming language. Whenever a programming language depends on the concept of objects, we have to call such a language as object oriented programming language. So write this definition. Whenever a programming language depends on the concept of objects, it is called as object oriented programming language. Shortcut OOP, OOP language. Whenever a programming language depends on the concept of objects, we have to call it as object oriented programming language. Whenever a programming language depends on the concept of objects, we have to call it as what? Object oriented programming language. So yes, JavaScript supports objects. JavaScript programs depend on objects. That's why we have to call JavaScript as a object oriented programming language. Okay. JavaScript is object oriented programming language. JavaScript is object oriented programming language. JavaScript is object oriented programming language. So will JavaScript supports objects or will not support? Will support. JavaScript supports objects. Okay, now listen. Next. First we have to understand what is object. Listen carefully. Now onwards actual point will start. What is the exact meaning of objects? Many people may think differently, or you can say may give some confusing definitions. I will provide simple definition. Any real item is what? Object. Anything that really exists, that is what? Object. Anything. For example, you take yourself. You exist really or not? Or exist really? You are an object. What is object? If that is a doubt or question, you need not think some definitions or books. Simple. You yourself is what? Object. Maybe your book, your pen, your mobile, your laptop, your room, your anything is nothing but what? Object. Something physical is nothing but object. Something or a person or thing exists physically, that every physical item is what? Object. What is object here? Some physical item is what? Object. Maybe one person or maybe a thing. Some physical item is object. So keep the heading, what is object? Any item, no, sorry, a physical item that exists in the real world is called as object. It may be a person or a thing. It may be one person or maybe thing. For example, a mobile. You are a person and your mobile is a thing. So any person or anything that exists physically, really, that is what? Object. Object. Now, how this object will come? From where these objects are coming? Objects will not come from anywhere. We have to create it. Objects we have to create. We means what? Developers. Developers have to create objects. Objects will not come from anywhere. Objects we have to create ourselves. That means what? Developer have to create the objects. Write it. Developers have to create objects. Means ourselves. We ourselves developers, we have to create the objects. We have to create the objects. Based on the requirement, we have to create objects. In some programs, only one object is enough. Sometimes thousands of objects you have to create. So how many objects you are creating, that doesn't matter, but concept is important. So always the developer have to create objects and developer have to use it. Developers have to create, developers have to use it. Okay, now listen. Suppose, assume this is an object. That box I'm going to represent as what? An object. Object will be stored inside the memory. What memory? Temporary memory, that is RAM. Hard disk is permanent memory. RAM is temporary memory. Where the objects will be stored is in RAM only. In RAM, random access memory. Inside that, some memory location will be reserved for the object. So this is such a memory location reserved for the object. In simple words, you can say that is an object. Inside the object, what exactly will be stored? Listen carefully. Two types of things will be stored. Properties and functions. What are they? Properties and functions. An object is a collection of properties and functions. Functions also called as methods. Functions also called as methods. What the object contains, tell me? Properties, methods. Properties, methods. Object always contains properties and methods. So maximum, any limit for number of properties or number of methods? Any limit? Like maximum these many properties, only these many methods can be stored? No, no such limit. Any number of, unlimited number of properties, unlimited number of methods you can store in one object. Like that, n number of objects may exist. In the real big program, you can create any number of objects and each object may contain any number of properties, any number of methods, no limit. So what object contains? Tell me, object contains properties and methods mainly, that's all. Any number of properties, any number of methods inside one object. Any number of objects inside a big program. Write it. Write it. Object contains properties and methods. Object is a collection of properties and methods. We can store any number of properties and methods inside an object, and we can create any number of objects inside the program. In a program, we can create any number of objects. In an object, we can store any number of properties and methods. Okay, any number of properties and methods. Okay, but I have a doubt here. What is the meaning of property? What is the meaning of method? Here, property means some details. Details are properties. Methods are operations. What is property? Tell me. Detail, one individual detail is nothing but one property. What is method? Tell me. Some operation. Some operation is nothing but what? Methods. What is property? Tell me. Forgot. Observing the coming people. Keep the same concentration here, you can understand. You will be gem in JavaScript. Listen. What is property? Details. Details about the object. What is method? Tell me. Operation about the object. These properties, methods are related to object. Simple example, I will go. Simple example. Now, you are an object. Object means we need not open in textbook to read the definition. You are yourself is an object. You think about yourself, you can understand about object because you are an object. So, tell me about your details. Your name equal to so and so ABC. Your date of birth so and so ABC something. Your qualification, your experience, your skills, your height, your weight. These are all what? Your details. Each detail is nothing but one property. That's it, over. One detail equal to one property. For example, name of the student equal to ABC. Name of the student is what? Property. ABC is what? Value. Age of the student is 20. Age is a property. 20 is a value. That's all. Like that. Any details about the object is called as property. Where we store these particular properties, not outside the object, inside the object. An object contains self details. An object contains self details. If student is an object, student object contains the student details itself. If a product is an object, the product object contains the product details itself. We are not going to store the details about the object somewhere. An object contains the self details by its own. So, what we have to do? Properties are nothing but what? Details about the object. We store the properties inside the same object itself. So, write that. What is property? What is property? Property is a detail about the object. Properties are stored inside the same object itself. Object contains properties. That's what I am saying. Object contains properties. Object stores properties. In the memory of the object, properties are stored. Okay. Now, I want to give some example. Any example for the properties. Now listen. For example, this is an object. What is the object? Car object. Assume there is a car. There is a car in front of you, just assume that car object. Car is what object? Car exists physically or not? Exists physically. There is one car. Not hundreds of cars. Only single car is available. In front of you, only single car is available. The details we are trying to collect. That's all. Now, car details, tell me. Car details. Car number, car brand, car color, price. These are what? Details about the car. So all these are what? Properties. Suppose car number is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4. Car color equal to some red color. Car model equal to some Honda City. Red is not exist. Black. Okay. So these are all what? Details. These are all what? Details about the particular car. Now tell me details about the car. Car number. Tell me, car number is one example of property. Car model is a property. Tell me, man. Have you completed your lunch? Huh? Speak out. Everyone. Okay. Tell me examples of properties. Car number, car color, car model are the examples of the car object properties. Will the same properties exist for the student object? Student object details are different. Student roll number, student class or branch he belongs to, or college or university name, or some date of birth, some other details. So the details may be vary, but generally speaking, any detail about the object is nothing but property. That's all. Write this. Write it. So properties are details about the object. Where the properties will be stored? Inside the object or outside the object? Inside. Object means some memory location. Always remember in JavaScript, object means one memory area, some place, some location in the memory where you can store some data. So the properties are stored inside the particular object memory location. So simply say properties are stored inside the object. Next. Also the objects contain properties plus methods also it contains. Methods. Now let us try to understand what is a method. Okay, keep the heading methods. What is method? What is method? First of all, methods are also called as what? Functions. Methods are functions. You can say function or method, it's not that much difference. In other words, all the methods are by default functions. So then what is the significance of the methods? Methods are the functions that are stored inside the object. Whenever a function is stored inside the object, we have to call that function as a method. Understand how to convert the function as a method? There is a function. Function is there. Function should be stored inside the object. Function inside the object is method. Simple. Write it. Functions that are stored inside the object are called methods. Functions that are stored inside the object is called as methods. Methods. Functions that are stored inside the object are called methods. Right. Now, again you take an example of car example, car object you take. Inside this, I want to place some methods. Is it possible to place methods in the object? Yes, we can place. So, simple. What activities you can perform based on that object? What are the abilities of the object? What you can do with that object? Each and every task or each and every work is nothing but method. With car, what you can do? Somebody has given a car for you, gift. Okay. So what will you do immediately? First take a selfie, right? Immediately post in FB. First you don't want car, you want likes. Okay, you can eat likes. Okay, listen. So with that exact car object, what I can do? You can start the car. You can start the car. You can change the gear. We can accelerate it, we can stop the car. Like this we can do several activities. Any operation, any task that you can perform based on the object is nothing but, which one? Method. So write some examples. Start. Start is a method and at the same time it's a function, right? What is the symbolic representation of the function? Brackets, opening, closing brackets are nothing but, it's a function. So start is a function. Change gear is a function. Stop is a function, etc. Start, change gear, stop. These are what? Activities or tasks that can be performed based on what? Object. Based on which object? Car object. Using car, what you can do? Any task is nothing but method. What are the car details? That is nothing but properties. Now, simply tell me properties are details. Methods are actions or tasks or operations, you can say. That's all. Fine. Next. So, final example of car object is simple. Just write together. Write both properties and methods at a time. There is a car object. Write properties and methods both. Car number equal same. Car number equal 1, 2, 3, 4. Car model equal to some Vento. Car color equal to white. Next methods are same. Start, change gear, G caps. G must be caps because it's a separate word, right? So G must be capital letter. These are all examples of the car object. So object contains two things, two parts. Properties, methods. Okay, that's all. Completed, right? Now, have you understand what is object? Yes or no? Not understand. What is object? Physical item. Physical item is object. What is property? Details about the object. What is method? Operation or any task of the object. That's all. Next. Next point is, then how to create objects? Now actual point starts. In different languages we have different ways to create objects. In different programming languages we have different ways. How to create object in C++ may be different, VC++ is different, Java is different, some C#.NET is different, JavaScript is different. But I am not going to explain about Java, C#, etc. I am going to explain about only one language. What is the language? JavaScript. In JavaScript, how to create object? Answer is, there are 3 ways to create objects. What are they? 3 ways to create objects. In JavaScript, we can create the objects in how many ways? 3 ways. Write it. How to create objects in JavaScript. 3 ways to create objects. What are they? The first one, object literal pattern. Pattern means one model, one concept you can say. Object literal pattern. Next, constructor function pattern. Constructor function pattern. Prototype pattern. How many ways to create objects? 3 ways to create object. What are they? Object literal pattern, constructor function pattern, prototype pattern. Prototype, single word. Right. Now let us try to understand the first one now. As of now, first one we are going to see. What is that? Object literal pattern. What is that? Object literal pattern. So keep the first heading, object literal pattern. Okay, the general meaning of literal is strong. Literal means generally strong. Strongly means literally we can say strongly. Okay, so what is exact meaning of object literal pattern? Whenever we create the properties and methods directly inside the curly braces, we have to call it as object literal pattern. What is that? Whenever we create, listen carefully, whenever we create properties and methods of the object inside the curly braces, directly we have to call it as object literal pattern. So if you don't understand, listen. Just an example, simple example will make you easy understand. Simple. Normal HTML program is over, head body. Okay, right. Now, That H2 is optional. Don't ask me what is the difference between H1 and H2. Okay. Don't ask me what is the difference between H2 and H3. Okay, it has no meaning. Just for understanding purpose, I am writing this. If you don't want, you can delete it. Actual point is script. In the script, how to create objects. So, how many lines of code is required to create object? Any guess? Minimum, how many lines of code is required? Minimum. Minimum 20 lines of program is required. How many lines? 20 lines. Okay, that is what? How many lines is it? How many lines is it? 20 lines of program. That is in what? An object. Braces are nothing but object. That's all over. Save this and run this. Successfully we have created object, but are we getting any output in this console? No. But whatever you want to display in the console, you must use which statement? Console.log. Without using console.log, nothing will come in the console. Actually, what happened is just in the memory, object is created. In the RAM, some memory location is created. That is what object. But physically, there is no output in the console. So what will you do? You can print the object directly by using console.log. Console.log can understand not only variables but also objects. Console.log can understand variables, arrays, objects also it can understand. Whatever you give, it will be printed. Maybe variable, maybe array, maybe object. Suppose see, if you give some variable, suppose a equal to 10. What happens now? It will print the value or not? It will print 10 now. Suppose if you give square brackets, it will print the array or not? Array, it is just printing array. Like that. Now we are giving object. That's what I am saying. Console.log can understand and print the variable, array and object also. That's all. So what it is saying, object or not? That's all. That is the simplest example of object. Very simple. Can't you put two characters, opening curly brace, closing curly brace. That's all. That is the shortest form of the object. But which type of object it belongs to? It is created based on the object literal pattern. How to work with the remaining two, I will explain later. But as of now, it is created based on which one? Object literal pattern. So what is the definition, formal definition of the object literal pattern? Whenever we have created the properties and methods of the object inside the curly braces, we have to call it as object literal pattern. Write it. Whenever we have created properties and methods of the object using curly braces, means like this, using the curly braces, it is called object literal pattern. That approach is called as object literal pattern. We have created object, but object is created based on what? Object literal pattern. At that time, object is created based on object literal pattern. Concept name is object literal pattern. What we have created is object only we have created. That's all. So, syntax 1, we can just give braces, just empty, opening, closing curly braces. That is one example. That is one syntax, one type of object. Syntax 2 is, suppose you want to keep some properties and the methods also inside the object. What do you want to keep? Some properties, methods you want to keep inside the object. Object basically contains what? Properties and methods. How to store the properties in methods? Normally you can take one curly braces. Okay, just like it is like a taking a empty bag. Inside the empty bag, what do you want to keep? Some books you want to keep, some pens you want to keep. Just simple example I will give. Inside a bag, what do you want to keep? Some books you want to keep, some pens you want to keep. Okay, just like that. You have taken one empty object. By default, that is what? Empty object. Inside that, what kind of items allowed? Only two types. What are they? Properties, methods only allowed. Properties, methods. So, property, value. We have successfully created property or not? Property, colon value. Property naming can be anything, X, Y, Z. Variable name, you know, variable name. We previously var keyword, you remember, var space variable name. Just like that, variable name, just like that, property name can be anything. Just like a variable name, property name can be anything. Just like X, Y, Z, A, B, C, any name you can just provide. And value means just like a variable value, this property value also can be number, string, can be anything, can be an array, can be anything else. Just like what I'm trying to say, the property is much like a variable only. Only the difference is to create the variable we have to use var keyword. For the property var keyword you will not use. Rest of the characteristics and features will be same only. In the variable you can store the value, we can read the value. Same way in the property also we can store the value, we can read the value, we can do anything. Only the difference is what? Variable is independent, not a part of the object. Now this property is a part of the object. To create the variable var keyword we have to use. To create the property var keyword we will not use. And in the variable we have to use equal to operator to store the value. Suppose x equal to 10. Here x equal to 10. In the property colon we have to use. Some differences are there. Overall practical use of the variable and property is mostly same. In variable you can store the value, read the value. Same way property also we can store and read the value. That's all. And how many properties you can store here in this object? N number of. So I'm keeping dots. Any number of. Next, can we store methods also? Method. What is method? Fundamentally method is a function. Function. Okay, this is the function. First we have to give method name. Method name can be anything. First listen, don't write. If you write, you cannot understand. Listen first. First you can write the method name. Method name can be anything. Method name, suppose calculate. Anything, any meaningful name you can provide. So suppose I want to add the numbers. Name of the function is add function. I want to find out the square root of the function. So sqrt is a function name. Any suitable name you can just provide. What is method here? Function. Method is a function. So this part will create a function. Function. Function name not required because already we have mentioned the method name, right? Based on the method name we will call that function. Function brackets. In the brackets we can prepare some parameters. Parameter 1, parameter 2 and number of parameters. Then braces. In this braces we can write code. But don't think like this is an object. That is just a braces for the function. Those are braces for the functions. That's all. This is totally one function. How many methods you can create like this? N number of. So I'm just keeping dots. Dots means we can write any number of. So any number of properties we can write. Any number of methods we can write. That's all. This is what in a syntax number 2 of the object literal. What is the difference between first one and second one? Tell me. First one is empty object. It is object only but empty. Second one is object with properties, methods. Just like first one is an empty bucket. It has no water inside it. Second one is full of water. That's the only difference. Simple. So both are objects only. Only the difference is empty object versus full object. That's all. Write this. Write this. Write the colons, commas, everything carefully. Observe and write carefully. Simple, easy syntax, but you have to carefully observe and make it remember. Okay, syntax 1 is just empty object. Syntax number 2 is full of properties and methods also. Okay. Now let's go to the example. First, a simple example I will give. Suppose x colon 10, y colon 20. That's all, simple, over. No need to confuse about objects. That is what. See the example. See the example. What is that? How many properties are there? 2 properties we have created or not? How many methods are there? How many methods? No methods. In this example, no methods. Only we have created 2 properties. X colon 10 we have written. Are we using where keyword? No, we should not use. Where means variable. Variable is not a part of the object. For the properties, where keyword should not be used. So with where keyword means variable outside the object. Without where keyword means property, it is inside the object. That is the difference. So property colon value. This value can be number, string, boolean. Generally, in variables we can store any number of value, any type of value. Just like that, property also can store any type of value. That's all. So this is the simplest example of the object. Just you can check. In the output you can see. First we can see what? Empty object. That means this one, empty object. Second, what you can see? Object with the properties. That's all. Next, I am going to create once again. I want to just create. Say hello. Say hello is a method name. Function, no parameters. Console load log of hello. That's all. So in this third case, what happened? It's a function. It's an object with the method. Third one is what? An object with the method. What is the name of the method? Say hello is the name of the method. First object is empty object. Second one is object with the properties. Third one is object with the methods. So actually, for understanding point of view, this one is okay to understand, this one is okay to understand. But this one is a bit confusing, right? See, too many number of braces, opening, closing. Understanding or not? Here semicolon, closing brace, closing brace. Which brace you are closing where? Little bit confusing or not? That's why you can write line by line. You can write which one? Line by line. Simple. First, you will open the bracket, you will press enter key here. Understanding? Again you will press enter key here. Understanding? Enter key, don't enter key. Just you will press enter key here. Everything you can give line by line. Line by line you can just provide. Now can you understand where it is opening, closing? Observe carefully. Understanding? So single line itself we can write in a multiple lines. Here you can understand, okay, this is the function. This function is nothing but is a method here. What is the name of the method? Say hello. And this method is a part of the object. Understand now? The selected part is what? An object. That object is given to which one? Console.log. Still output is same. Output has no difference. That's why what I am trying to say, while creating only properties, we can follow single line approach. While creating methods, you recommend to follow multi-line approach. Concept will not change. Just for your convenience purpose, we are writing multiple lines. That is the only difference. That's all. So, all of you able to understand? Check it once again. First one is example of empty object. Second one is example of object with the properties. Third one is an example of object with the methods. But very simple example. Some more examples I will provide later. Okay, write this first. Okay, done everyone? Completed? Write this output also. Okay, over. Now I am going to give one more example which contains only one object, but it includes both properties and methods at a time. One object contains properties and methods at a time. Previously what we have done, only properties one example, only methods one separate example. Now I am going to give one more example which contains both properties, methods at a time. So I am going to create one object like this. Suppose there is an object. I want to add the numbers. What is the most difficult process of the world? Addition of numbers, right? I want to add the numbers. Just I am taking a equal to 10. B equal to 20, that's all. Now, how to add the numbers? Any guess? How to add the numbers? A plus B na? No. This dot A plus this dot B. How to add the numbers? Not A plus B. This dot A plus this dot B. What is this? This means, suppose I am saying this room. This room means your room or classroom. This building means your house or this Maitravani building. Which building is this? This building, man. IMAX theater, right? Which one? Maitravani building or not? You are not able to speak Maitravani building also. Why? Okay. So, this city means Chennai. Sure? So, this means what? This means current working. Presently, which one you are using, that is nothing but this. So, I am saying this means this object. This is equal to this object. What is meant by this object? Present object. Inside which object we are writing the code, that object is nothing but this. Inside which object you are right now, that same self object is represented as this. This is a predefined keyword that represents the current working object inside which you are writing the code right now. So, to add the numbers, what is the coding? This dot A plus this dot A. This dot A means, this means what? Current object. This means current object. Inside the current object, how many A variables are there? Only one. That value you will get. Exactly, you can say 10. This dot B means what? 20 we are getting. Overall, this means current object. This dot A means the A property of the current object. This dot B means the B property of the current object. Overall, this means what? Current object. Current object. But you should write this code inside which one? A function. Inside a function. That's why, we are taking a method. Method is nothing but function. Inside this, we are writing a code like this dot A plus this dot B. That's all. Write this code. Okay, over. All of you completed? So how many properties this object contains? Any guess? Two properties. What are they? How many methods this object contains? What is the name of the method? What will it do? This dot A plus this dot B. What is the meaning of this? Current working object, current object or current working object. Presently inside which object you are writing the code, that is nothing but current object, this. Now listen, just object 2. Okay, second example, just I am taking an object. I am following multi-line approach because see here the console.log function brackets opening, here closing. Understanding? Brackets opening, closing. Okay, leave it. Next, curly braces open, close here. That is representing the object. Here object begins. Here object ends. Understand the boundaries of the object. Whatever you write inside this area, that is nothing but object only. But can we write a regular statement? Suppose directly I am writing console.log. Otherwise I am just writing var a equal to 10. Like this, can we write normal statements? No, no, no. Only properties methods allowed. Object can contain only properties methods. Nothing else allowed in the object. Only properties methods. So regular statements, routine statements like console.log, anything cannot be written. So everything should be in the form of properties methods. And inside the method we can write in lines of code. Now listen. What I am trying to say, for example, I am saying var a equal to 10. Can we write this type of statement here? No. But we can do one thing. We can take some sample method. That method open here, close here. Inside the method, that means inside the function, we can write anything. That statement is now allowed. Okay. Anyway, now actual point is A is 10. One property over. B is 20. Second property is over. That's all. As of now, if we just run this, so we have created an object with A, B, two properties. Next, one more. Add is a function. Add is a function. Function bracket open, braces open here, braces close here. This braces is not object. It is a function braces. Understanding? These braces are objects. These braces are function braces. So, function, and now here we can write any lines of code, no problem. Normal if statement, loops, we can use variable declaration, value assignment, any normal statement, regular statements allowed in this place, no restrictions. So I'm just writing this dot A, this means what? Current object. Simple. The keyword exists in which object? Inside this object or not? The present working object itself is this object, this. Inside the this, which property you want to particularly access? A. So this dot A. Simple. This dot A means which one? 10. That's all. This dot A means 10. But can we write like just A? No, not allowed. Not allowed. Just A not allowed. You must write which one? This dot A compulsory. So plus, I want to access the B. Can we write a B? Already we have written this here, right? No, not allowed. Don't talk to the neighbors. Compulsory should write which one? This dot. Every time, for every variable, you must and should provide which one? This dot compulsory. Okay, this cannot be optional. Okay, this dot A, this dot B. So if you just keep this as it is, are we getting an output here? Yes. What is the output? A equal to 10, B is equal to 20. Add is a function. Actually, it is alphabetical order it is placing. That's why, based on alphabetical order, it is just change the order. Okay, our order is A, B, add. Then it is order is A, add, B because of alphabetical. Okay, don't mind it. But will this display any output in the console? Will not display. So what we have to do? Console dot log of that value. Okay. Now successfully we have created object. Now what to do? I want to store this object reference in a variable. Previously, yesterday we have created an array by using curly braces. Okay. We have stored its reference inside a variable or not? We have stored the array reference inside a variable or not? Variable contains reference of the array. Suppose where a equal to this one. So now onwards a means this array. A is equal to this array. Same like that. I want to cut this, paste here where some variable name a like this over. Now understand. This is totally equal to what? One object. Can you believe or not? That selected part. Forget about the outside thing. That selected part is nothing but an object or not? That object reference is stored in a variable. So this is called reference variable. Such a beautiful word. Reference variable. Not ordinary variable. It's a reference variable. What is the difference between reference variable and normal variable? Generally, normal variable contains a value. For example, x is a variable. It just contains a value, maybe number or string. Suppose 100. That's all. Simple. But reference variable means reference variable. Suppose x is the reference variable we are going to store. We are going to say. If x is a reference variable, will it contain any data? No, it contains address or reference to the another object. Reference of object. Or you can say address of object. Object is stored separately. Here properties methods will be stored. X is a reference to object. If you know the concept of TV and remote, you can easily understand this reference variable. Have you ever seen TV? TV. Have you used remote? Okay, which is remote here? Object is remote or reference variable is remote? Reference variable is a remote to access the object. Same concept is applicable for arrays also. Same concept. A reference variable may contain the reference to array or may contain the reference to object. So what is the difference between normal variable, reference variable? Normal variable contains the actual value, maybe number or string. But reference variable will not store the actual data, will contain the reference of the array or object. So here A is here A. Okay, already A is there. Okay. One more variable I am giving. Suppose sample. Okay, what is sample here? What is sample? Variable. What type of variable? Reference variable, not normal variable. Reference variable. This reference variable contains the reference of the object. Here object begins right. Here object ends right. So that whole object represented as that whole object reference is stored in the variable called sample. Why we have to do like that? If you are giving sample, that whole object data will be printed. Same output we are getting, no difference. But what is the advantage? We can next time call the same object every time. So sample.a means what? 10. Not understand. Sample means what? Reference of the object. Inside object a exists or not? That a value will come here. So what is the output here? 10 is output. Not able to understand. Sample is what? Reference variable. Sample is a reference variable, just like x here. What the reference variable contains? Reference of the object. Inside object we have a equal to 10. So if you write like x dot a here, what is the output here? 10 is output. Understanding? X is a reference variable, a is a property. So we can write x dot a. Just like that. Sample is a reference variable. Sample is reference variable. A is a property. So we should write what? Sample dot a. Sample is just like x here. That's all. Same like this. I am printing B. Tell me output here. 20. I am calling add function. So what is the output here? A plus B, 30 is output. Check this, 10, 20, 30, that's all. And here console.log is not required. Instead, we are giving return value, return. Return concept, you know, right? Return means this returned value will come to here, in this place. Whatever we return, that value will come back to the add place. Okay, in this place, we are going to print it. That's all. Now it is clear. Okay, so write this. First, write this notes. Have you written the notes for this? If not, write it. Then this one also. Okay, now tell me, what is object? Any physical item is object. Any physical item, may be person or thing. Okay, what the object stores? What is property? Details about the object. What is method? Operation, in other words, function. Function to perform some operation on the object. Next. And what is the difference between normal variable and reference variable? Normal variable stores value. Reference variable store reference of the array or object, using which easily we can access the object or array. Because every time, only one time we want to create object, every time we want to access the same object. It's not like in every single statement you want to create new object. At the beginning, one object you want to create, same object you want to access every time. So that's why reference variable is very much common to use. Next, what is the difference between property and variable? Property is a, for the property, do we use where keyword? No. A, B are examples of properties. We don't use where keyword. To store the value into the property, do we use equal to operator? No. What operator we use? Colon we have to use. What is the difference between function and method? Function is a collection of statements. Method also collection of statements. Method is a function basically. Then what is the difference? Outside the object means function. Inside the object is method. Previously, few days back I told functions chapter. There we have created a country, city, this type of functions, you remember? Those are just a pure functions, pure function, natural functions. But this is also one function, but this function is a part of the object. So rather than calling it as a function, we have to call it as method. Okay, write this. Write it. Okay, done. Okay, now just you have to create one more program. Suppose x some value, for example 100, y is equal to some 150. You have to create a method called max. Max is a function, and it has to return the maximum value of the x and y. It has to return the maximum value, big value of x and y. That's all. Write it. Write the program. Try now. Based on same previous program only, just small changes. Just like add, max function will come, some if condition will come inside the max. Try it. And we have to return the result value, whichever is a big, we have to return it. Okay, otherwise you can check object 3.html. Same, some variable name sample, for example, x 100, y 150, max is the name of the function. We can check if this dot x greater than this dot y, what we have written? Written this dot x. Else we have written this dot y, that's all. Okay. And if you want, you can write one more function, for example, min. One more, just bonus, one more function, min. Here same logic repeats. Just condition will be less than. Okay, if it is less than x is less than y means this dot x will be written, otherwise y will be returned. Now we have to say x, y, that is 100 and 150. What is the function we have to call? Max. Which is the big value among them? 150. Min is one more function we have written, right? So, what is the value now? 100. Just check it. So, are we getting correct output or not? Check it. A is 100. So, x equal to 100, y equal to 150. Big value 150. Small value 100. That's all. So, but check the braces where it is opening, closing, that is your responsibility. Just listen first. Listen carefully. Listen. All of you listen. Stop writing, listen. So, here brace open, right? Brace open, right? This part totally is what? First listen. Everybody listen. This total part is what? Object. All of you understand that? Total part is object. Where the brace open till the brace ending, total is object. What the object contains, if you look into the object, one property, one value, one more property, one more value, one more method, and this is a function. There is a function there. Min is a method. This is a function there. If you have any confusion, practice time or real time, do one small thing. Just click the near the braces. Is it highlighting or not? Braces. Not observing. Light, very light gray color is applied. We just click near the braces. Automatically highlighting or not? Suppose if we click here, above is highlighting or not? Check it. So that you can easily understand. So if you miss any brace, one extra base you have to put or not, if you have any confusion, you can just analyze here. That's all. Okay, write this. Don't talk to your neighbors.